So how do you see it? Oh, I see. You see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you come every so often?
I come every so often. Yeah. Well, at the moment I'm coming sort of on a Sunday to help with the archive.
Yeah.
Sorting out files.
Yes, I bet they're building up, aren't they?
So, Mum, do you remember this?
I certainly do, yeah. Where did that one come from then? I certainly do. That was when we were first doing volunteering. Do you remember the little hut there that they had? Yes, that's right. And the view was breathtaking. I remember that. You couldn't believe it.
So do you know where this hut was, you know, now? Would it be worth having a look now? Or not
Where it
really?
is now, I suspect it's been disposed of.
But the area that it's
Well,
situated
it was
in?
along there. No,
Do you remember that?
it's past the little roundabout to the main gate, just beyond there.
Okay, well maybe if we get there you can point out
Yes, and it's where that was.
where it was.
I remember looking across the lake and it was very overgrown at the moment, wasn't it?
Don't take it first.
Quite extraordinary.
So you see what's going on?
Oh, my camera, wow!
I'm amazed.
Yeah, I do remember the hut.
Oh, right.
Got our wooden armbands on, look.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could just
We
do
used to
that.
come from here. This is where we used to meet. We used to come in through there, and then we'd meet whoever was in charge of what our task was for that day. We'd meet them here.
It's strange, there's quite a lot of
There is quite a lot of...
tarmacky bit there. So
Well, this was one of the first bits that was put down.
Yeah.
okay.
But that was all
Well, it
we were
looks like
allowed
that would
in
all be.
through that whole bit there, wasn't it?
Meadow that you can see.
That's an amazing picture of Dad and me when we were wardens. We weren't wardens for that long, I don't think. We were
year or
amongst
two,
the...
wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, so that was 1986.
And we moved in 88.
Oh,
Oh, 87, 87.
87.
Yeah, so probably a couple
Yeah,
of years.
so that's, yeah.
The tree work wall, they had their...
Oh.
Thank you for bringing that one out. Yeah, I was just telling Kath that the iris down there, I'm just wondering because Dad and I, years ago, had a pond and it overgrew with iris.
Yeah.
And being helpful, we bought some and dotted it round here. And a few years later, of course, you realise that was a very bad thing to have done.
What colour was
It
it?
would be either yellow or bluey colour, but I'm just looking at them dotted around, hoping
the
we
family
didn't.
iris.
We only had a few, but I can remember feeling what a good thing to do.
Yes.
Now I feel incredibly guilty, but everybody would have done it then with different worlds.
That's lovely.
First came here, this was just a huge mass of shrubs and brambles and things.
Wow. Is this
Like
the
this at
conservation
all. Yeah.
volunteers?
And you couldn't see that, the folly, because it was very tumble down, even more than that. It was just brick faced as well. Yeah, and I mean that looks like there was a tree. I suppose that could still be that tree that's there.
That'd be those ones there.
So when we first came to the grotto, it was absolutely nothing like this because it was completely overgrown and tumbled down. I don't remember the crystals at all. I think they were just a few bits that you'd grub for in the soil. And we did used to have to come across the top, and there was a hole which I think still exists that you could look down into and see the grotto, the bit at the far end. And you'd see bits of this all in the water and everything because it was just all caved in. And to get down to it, there was no nice path like this. You had to sort of more or less rock climb down, although this was all covered in vegetation as well, so you weren't aware it was quite so rocky. So when they restored it, this is completely new compared to when I first saw it, and it wasn't anything like this, just a few little clumps. Oh really? You can see down.
Yeah, so you've remembered then, haven't you?
Well, so the boat that we were talking about must have been
Through there.
through here.
Because we did. We went,
Because we
but that
definitely
was more or less collapsed.
moored up and we hopped into
That's
it,
right. It's incredible.
drifted under here.
No caution.
And it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, well, this was the grotto, and the man who owned it, Charles Hamilton, decided he wanted a grotto and brought all these pieces. Now, Grandad and I came here
Shine the
in
torch up there.
the late 70s, early 80s, and it was completely overgrown and collapsed. And we didn't know what it was, or anything, you know, we just came upon it. And then we had to scramble across a log to get into the place, which was, you know, rather silly, but we did it. There were ferns and damp undergrowth all over it and collapsed bits here and there. And we were a bit worried about coming in. We only just hovered in the entrance because it looked like it might fall down at any time. But of course the restoration is amazing with all these beautiful bits of crystal and, you know, whatever materials they are there. And looking through, it's fantastic there.
But I remember coming here with my friend Ellie when we were about 10 years old. And it wasn't open to the public or anything. We just sort of break in, and we found the grotto. And I mean, it is just a magical paradise.
You
But to have
wonder
it
where
for
you
yourself
was amazing.
Oh, I think there's a light in here.
But to think that one man had the
lovely,
initiative and the wealth to create this. And see the way the light's coming through the hole there, so it wouldn't be a good place in the rain.
It was created just for fun.
Purely for fun. And you can see where some of them are missing there. Because walking across here is so easy now, but when we first came, it was all fallen in and there were holes everywhere.
Oh, my word.
And it's just...
Amazing. And it wasn't grass, was it?
No,
It was
no,
just
no,
this stuff,
no.
Like a
That's right.
volcanic-
Oh really? So
Yeah.
it wasn't even
Yeah.
easy to walk on?
Yeah, so what can you remember from here then, Sue?
Well, this bit's really, really, really weird because it's so difficult to reimagine it. Because when we first came here, this was a much narrower stream and both sides were completely overgrown.
Yeah.
Lots of trees and bushes and things. You could hardly fight your way through.
No, I don't
No.
think so. We
Yeah.
came down
That's right.
along the bank and sort of
Yeah.
it was just through the bushes and there it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they needed to do was to build a bridge across because you couldn't get across the grotto bridge. That was broken,
Yeah.
that was all tumbled down. And they wanted to get across to start restoring
Yeah.
it. So they needed a bridge here. And at that time, that was when I was leading the group, Kingston Conservation Volunteers. It's because I knew this place and I got lots of work. We used to come here several times a year and do lots of work here.
Magical.
And we got asked to build a bridge, which was a bit of a stunning thing to do. Lots of planning about how that was going to work.
And the
So
materials.
it was a bit of a project. And we actually had to fell 2 trees.
Yeah.
Well, it must have been 3 in the end, because we did one for the handrail.
Yeah.
And there's a photo of us pulling these across with a rowing boat.
Oh,
kind
that's
of
right.
blowing
Okay,
trees,
Yeah.
Pulling the trees
actual
across.
trees,
Across this part.
which
Yeah.
came across. And then we put the boards across.
That's
we had
right.
quite rough boards.
Yeah.
And then we had one handrail on that side,
Side,
so we
yeah.
actually had posts planted in either side,
Yeah.
and then another, quite a rough one, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It was quite a
fine.
big project to
Yeah,
take on, wasn't
of
it?
course. So it was quite. It wasn't a wobbly bridge, but it was nowhere near as sort of secure and safe as this. And it was only meant to be here for a few months.
That's right, yeah.
But it actually was here for quite a few years.
For a few years.
In the end, until they got round to
Doing this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were on the same team then?
I
You
came
were-
along
you
for
were-
one day, I think,
Oh,
and
really?
helped pull it across in bits and pieces, yeah. But it was
Heavy stuff.
remarkable experience.
Yeah. I'm sure.
I think it's amazing considering how I remember it all those years ago and to how this has turned out, along with all this manicured bankside and the
Paths
bridge
along.
and the paths, the lot. So really quite a, yeah, it's
And
quite,
you've got lovely views now.
well the vistas
There
have
was no
opened
way
out,
you
haven't
could
they?
see
You couldn't see it, no.
Yeah,
No,
because were
you used to
like
fight your way,
woodlands.
you fought your way through the undergrowth really, didn't you? It wasn't something you took anyone on a walk for, you just sort of clambered through it. It's just beautiful to see it now though.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
here.
am I recreating this?
Yeah.
Right.
Or would you believe it?
Okay.
But do I have a look as well? So, oh, okay, so you're going to walk that way.
We're just going to go up there and walk back.
Yeah. Yeah. Caroline remembers this bit, funnily
does
enough.
she?
Yes, she does. Said
Ah,
she remembered it.
she
You know.
remembers at last.
Yes.
You remember it at last?
That's quite distinctive, isn't it?
What's it look like?
It's a round shape. What else is a round shape that turns round? On your bicycle, what have you got round that goes round and round on your bike? Yes, you're right. And this one's in the water, so it's a water wheel. Were a lot of the paddles missing when you first saw it, Sue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was only about 1 in 4.
Yeah, that's
so-
right, yes, yeah. Yeah.
So this path here, I don't remember, but it's leading up to the Alpine Valley, where myself with the conservation volunteers, we did quite a few days worth of work, because the valley, you couldn't really see it as a valley, it was so overgrown, so we were thinning things out. There was a lot of rhododendrons that invaded, and it became, as we worked our way through the valley, it opened out the views.
Come and show Casey the cork oak, where the corks come from. In Spain, they have forests of cork oaks, and they strip them about every 2 or 3 years. Strip the bark off them. They look ever so peculiar because you've got this tree with part of the bark missing. I can't believe how they've done all this.
That's Julian and I on this very plinth, and you can see that it's all like overgrown and stuff, and obviously no statue apart from us. And this was in 1983 again. On this very plinth.
Let's have a look at the picture. There you are, on the very plinth.
Keep over to this.
Right, let's park.
No, I want to be around.
Yeah, but you're that side.
Oh, well, come over this way. Then.
You're supposed to be there. Here.
And I'll be here.
Oh dear, right.
Right.
Yes.
So this is exactly where I was in this photo in 1986, wearing a very fetching blue beret. Oh, in fact, I was down here. Like that. Nonchalantly. Recreated.
Apparently this is where I was in 1986. Like most of the things in the 80s, I don't remember.